Hi, everyone, and welcome to Breaking Up with Corporate. I'm Alex Murray with Unleash You Coaching, and we have Susan Trissetti with us with Dragonfly Realty. And our guest today is Jessica Russell, and she is the founder and broker of Sage and Stone Realty Group and co-host of Nestology podcast. After leaving the corporate world, she built a business rooted in education, integrity, and community in order to help families navigate big life transitions with confidence. Today, she is passionate about redefining success, building something meaningful, and proving you don't have to follow the traditional path to create a life and career that you love. Hi, Jessica, and welcome to
Hello.
Breaking Up with Corporate. Thanks for being on today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
What a great intro. Love
Thank
it.
you.
Well, Jessica and I met at our co-working space that we both
Yes.
work out of, and we connected on podcasting and realized that she had a background in a big career and a transition, and I just knew she had to be on our podcast
Well,
today.
thank you.
Yes, and so like always, I just always like to start at the very beginning. So, can you tell us like where you started in your career and kind of catch us up to where you are today?
Yeah. Well, so I actually have two breakup stories. So I'll have a part one and part two. So I did start off in the typical corporate world and won't go into specific names, but I did work for a variety of different sizes and types. So I had the big companies and I did end up moving into smaller businesses because I thought the culture might be better, but found that regardless of where I was, we were just employees and just a number. So the corporate side, I remember back in it was my early 20s. I had just started working for this property management company and this was one of my red flags and I didn't listen quick enough. But being in the corporate world, they had a day where the bigwigs came to visit the property and you know how you prepare in it. I did this like back in high school in retail where you have to make sure everything's perfect for corporate to come visit. But I remember we were supposed to line up outside to greet them when they arrived and 110 degrees probably because it was summertime. We had a girl 9 months pregnant and I was like, well, maybe she can stay in and answer phones. They're like, no, nobody answers phones. We're going to stay outside. We're going to line up and look perfect. I was like, but what if somebody comes in to rent an apartment or somebody has a maintenance issue? They're like, no, we do not do our jobs. We have to put on this pony show for the bigwigs when they get here because they're more important. And it just blew my mind, the thought behind that, because isn't the point for us to make money for them so that they can be successful? But apparently their egos were too big for that.
Yeah.
But then from there, I did work in some smaller businesses. My big moment, my breaking point, as you guys would call it, was actually when I was working for a franchise. So it was a smaller company, but I had worked to help them build this empire of franchises that he had, and came back from maternity leave after my second kiddo to find out that they had hired a new supervisor who changed my job. No longer was I going to work from home, or there was a whole lot that changed. I was going to have 3 hours of commuting every day from when I went from a stay or work at home. So that was heartbreaking. I have a toddler at home, a newborn. So I called my husband crying and he was like, you wanted to get your real estate license, finally do it. Just go do it. So I put in my notice and I had a lot of clarity there because I put in my notice and the owner who I'd worked for years and helped him to build this business never even called me. And so it was just one of those. I was like, I thought it was very small when I started. I was like, we were like a family, but apparently we weren't. So it just really helped me to realize I had been growing someone else's business. And instead of doing that for myself, I had been doing it for someone else who didn't care.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh, I can so relate. Susan and I have still not told our stories yet.
Really?
We're saving it. I think is going to be our final episodes of this season, but I can so relate on helping somebody else build their business. And then when you think you're a part of that business or a part of
Mm-hmm.
that quotes unquote family, and then when you leave and they're just like, bye, like then the rest you don't matter much. That's
Right.
so painful. That's so
And
painful.
I've been a workaholic. I've worked full time since I was 16. I've always put everything into work. And yeah, it was just so shocking to have that happen. But it did open my eyes. But it's funny because still to this day, I'll run into somebody that I met through a chamber event or something when I was working for them, and they think I was the owner of the business. They're like, "Oh, did you sell that business?" And I was like, "No, I never owned it. I was just an employee." They're like, "You were just an employee?" I treated it like my own, but I was not looked at the same way.
Yeah. Talk about the equity that you put in, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So my husband was like, "You need to be doing, you know what to do." He's like, "You have to do it for yourself," but it's a scary
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. And I'm going to go a little off script here. You talked about some of the red flags that maybe now you can see a little bit more clearly that you
Yeah.
didn't kind of jump on then. Do you remember some of those? Can you
I
talk
mean,
about
it was that, like I talked about with like that performance we had to put on for corporate where it kept having those moments where it just didn't feel right and they didn't care about the employees. They didn't care about the customer. And it was much more intense in the corporate world. Like I said, as I moved smaller, that did improve some. But then even with the smaller companies, I would see where they started off with a heart for customer first. And that's why I was so passionate about working for them. But then as it grew, that greed kicks in and they became profit first. And so there were things that I was not agreeing with, but then I have no say in it because it's not my business. But we should listen to ourselves because when I worked in that property management job that I mentioned, I should have just left from that point. I knew I was not aligned there, but I stuck it out and I grew. I took promotions there, but it was to the point where I would get in my car and cry every day on the way home from work. It was miserable. It was awful. And we just were not treated well as employees, and the customers weren't treated well either. And that gets thrown on us. So we got treated poorly. So I don't know why I stayed as long as I did.
Yeah.
Fear is why I stayed as long as I did. I do
Yeah,
know.
it's very true for a lot of people. Right? I mean,
Yes.
and I think it's a lot of things. There's fear, there's the unknown of what happens on the other
Mhm.
side. It can come down to financial reasons,
Yeah.
comfortability. There's so many reasons why
Yes.
even just leaving the familiar, right?
Exactly. Change.
Yeah, exactly. What what would you say gave you the confidence to go from something like that to on your own, real estate license, doing all those things?
Honestly, at that point, I did not have a lot of confidence. It was that I was put in that position, and I feel like I've been there a few times where I've needed a push, and that was my push when I came back from maternity leave to having my job change because we physically couldn't have managed that. And now I could have gone out to look for another job, but my husband pushed me. He's like, "You've talked about this, and this is something you've wanted to do." And his support was huge because that is terrifying. And to go from a salary and benefits to nothing. And I had to get my license first. I had to get a license and then build a business. So it was a stressful first year and lots of fear, especially around finances, like you mentioned. But I think it was having the right support system, having the right people around you that cheer you on.
And we hear that a lot from all of our guests. I don't think we've had one guest that hasn't said the support was a big part
Yeah.
of them making that leap. You really do need somebody, a cheerleader, to
Yeah.
say you can do this, because people think more of you than you do yourself most of the
Yes.
time. They see your potential, but sometimes we're afraid.
Yep.
And we need somebody to say, yes, you can do that. And I had two breakup stories too. So you and I have to have a conversation because I think we have a very similar background,
Yeah.
especially with reading your bio and going through your stuff. A lot of it is treating the customer great, and
Hmm.
not everybody wants to do that.
Yeah.
And that's where you, being a broker, and I congratulate you on that, because that's a big step. Most people don't realize what you have to go through to be a broker and
Yeah.
how much of a job that is. I'm impressed.
Well, thank you. Well, that is my second breakup story that I mentioned was going. So I did real estate for 12 years as an agent, but I guess a lot of people probably don't know. There's a difference between an agent and a broker. So as an agent, you are an independent contractor. So That means you're still working for yourself, but your license has to be hung under a brokerage. And most people will know like the Keller Williams and Berkshire Hathaway, Abbey Halliday, smaller ones too, but that's the names a lot of people probably know. But ultimately it's that broker that's responsible, and they hold like the light or the I'm sorry, they hold your license, and they have the insurance, and the big thing is the culture. So that was the part I struggled with, and that's why I had my second breakup. So after 12 years, I have been to a few brokerages, and I've also done real estate coaching, but I found things I did like. I'm not going to say it was all bad, but there was a lot of, I felt like, toxic culture. This like hustle culture of kill yourself to get as many deals as possible. You should get four. Like, I've seen so many agents bragging about how little sleep they get. I only sleep 5 hours a night. I only sleep 4 hours a night. And yes, you work hard. When you start a business, you work hard, but at the risk of your family and your relationships and your health. It was too much for me, and I didn't like that. But I couldn't find a brokerage where I felt like I could find the culture I was looking for. So that's why I then ended up opening my own brokerage last year.
That's great. Yeah, I actually really like my broker, but he's not anywhere near me. So he's down in San Antonio, and I pretty much get to do whatever I want to up here. Obviously,
That's
I
nice.
put a lot down to him to say, okay, are you okay? Are you okay? But he really lets me do whatever I
That's
want to
good.
do. And I don't have to give him a ton of money to tell me what to do either. So I got lucky on that aspect, but I totally understand what you're saying because there is
Yes.
a lot of, stress with some of those.
I have attended so many meetings where I would just sit there and like it was toxic. It was telling people to do things that were, it's not just pushing your comfort zone, but things that they were truly against their values, or something that was mentally damaging. I don't want to say specifics that might lead to who I'm talking about here, but the coaching, there's a big coaching industry within real estate, and then the brokerages, hearing so much of this, it just honestly makes you feel bad about yourself if you aren't the person selling 500 houses a year and listed as the top real estate agent. So there was a lot of negativity, I felt.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious now. What are your values now with your new brokerage that like you want to instill that's different than what you experienced before?
Some of the values, well, doing right by customers. There's a lot of sales pitchy type things that I just don't like. Convincing someone to buy a house, like, you show them a house, here's the ways to convince them or overcome their objections. To some extent, those can be fine, but convincing someone to buy something that is not right for them or that has issues, I don't like that type of stuff. I want to do what's right. I've talked people out of selling houses. They say, I need to sell. We dig down the why. And really, it's finances, but maybe there's something else that could be done. And they truly don't want to leave their house. I'd rather find that way to properly serve them versus finding the sale. So, people over transactions. Same thing with staff, like for the agents and staff that work for me, family first versus work first. I have two kids and I want a life. I want to have hobbies and relationships. I don't want everything to be about work. And there's that phrase of, oh gosh, my job is the least interesting thing about me, something along those lines. And I love that. And I want us to be whole humans, not just real estate agents.
Yeah, that's amazing. Can I come work for you?
Yeah, I was going to say we might have to have a talk, but
Well, I mean,
But I
Susan,
did. That's what I liked about when Alex
Yeah,
said, she's a realtor. I'm like, great. I love to talk to other realtors, and and I can tell in the first 5 minutes how sincere they are. Is it about the
yeah,
money or is it about the customer? Because I've done the same thing where I've said, you know what, let me have you talk to somebody else first before you make that decision, because
yeah.
it is sad to see people that, can't get into a house, or
Mm-hmm,
they need their credit fixed, or like you said, they really don't want to leave their house.
mm-hmm.
I love your passion, and I can tell that in your stuff that I had seen. So I'm
Thank
I'm
you.
very happy for you that you're getting to do what you want. And like I
Thank
said,
you.
I don't have to go to any of those meetings. I don't have to do anything. I've been in the business for 8 years. He lets me alone, and I just call him whenever I need something. But,
That's
you
good.
know, but there's good and bad to that. I don't have
Yeah.
a team behind me,
Yeah.
because there's so many, like you said, like that. I didn't want to get into that environment.
Right.
So it's a tough call. So
Yeah.
I applaud you. Like I said,
Well,
that's
thank you.
awesome.
Well, and I'm glad you found somewhere that you're happy and get to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to maybe even ask that same question. What gave you the confidence and the courage to start your own brokerage? Because I mean, I know that we spoke a little bit like what
Yeah.
it actually took, the
Yeah.
hours you had to put in to
Well, and what's
get
funny,
that
because
license.
like I said, it takes me a while, longer than it should. And I often will sit there and go, why didn't I do this before? I actually got my broker's license over 2 years ago. And it is, I mean, technical side behind it, it's 900 course hours
I
and
know.
tests that you take to get the license. So I did all of that. That was back in 2023. The market slowed down and I was like, well, here's an opportunity. I'm going to have some downtime. I'll do the classes and I'll get this part out of the way. And then I kept procrastinating on doing anything with it until just this past year. So confidence there again, it was lacking. It took pushing from my support group, my husband, my friends. Literally, we were out having drinks and hanging out, and my friends were like, why haven't you done this? You're doing it. It's done. We made the decision for you. File the application tomorrow. We're going to make you do it. And I'm sitting there telling them, I was like, well, I'm not, it's that imposter syndrome. I'm not good. I can't be a broker. I can't do this. And they were cheering me on, going, you're the smartest person we know. You have to do this. And so you have to have your cheerleaders behind you.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I think that like what an amazing group of people to surround yourself with, because sometimes they say it's who you surround yourself with
Yes.
that gets you to where you want to go.
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You got to build the support group and yes, good people, people that you want to be like, because like for me, I'm not wanting that hustle culture, the competitive, like I'm selling this many houses. Who cares if I missed all my kids' soccer games this year? Like that's not for me. So if I find the right people who have the same values that I do and do your own thing, if that's what's right for you and you want to sell 200 houses a year, fantastic. But I want to have people around me that are going to support that because yes, they're going to encourage you. So if it's not the right people, then they're going to be pushing you to things that you don't want to do.
Yeah, and I think most people don't realize 900 hours. That's why I'm not a broker, because it took 300, just almost 300, just to be a realtor. So you had to
Yes.
add an extra 600 hours to get to that point. Plus, you
Yes.
have the liability of everybody underneath you.
Yeah.
I think it's something that I don't know that I could do. So again, it's crazy that,
Well, thank you.
people don't realize how hard it is to be a broker. I mean, even just the 900 hours would have been daunting
It's
enough for
exhausting.
most,
Yes.
but being responsible for what everybody else does,
Yeah.
that's a real, that's a really big lift there.
For me, because of that, I'm planning to keep my brokerage small, and I want it to be like a boutique brokerage. I don't want to have 100 agents in my office because I want to keep the culture right. So limiting the people who are there, but then it's also less people that I have to worry about going off and doing stupid things and getting us sued. So
Right.
So if you now that you've, gone off and become your own agent and now you have your own brokerage, what are there any like lessons learned that like now that you know that you would like to tell people?
overcoming that fear, try not to let that hold you back because like I said, I waited too long each time. And I look back now and go, if I had just done that 2 years sooner, I could have been here even quicker. Don't be afraid to like pave your own path. Like if it's not the way everyone else is doing, because there's not a one size fits all when you build your business, excuse me. And you don't have to be perfect. Because I would sit there, I can't tell you that analysis paralysis, how many ridiculous amount of time I spent picking out the right shade of green for my logo. It's embarrassing. And it's just sometimes it's better done than perfect. I mean, you do want to be prepared with your business when you start a new business, but you're never going to have it perfect. And there's going to be failures, but you have to learn along the way what's going to work. You're never going to have everything perfect before you start.
Yeah, I love that. I teach that a lot too, especially I have a lot of clients who are just starting their journey. And it's the fun part, right? It really is. The fun part is like
Yeah.
building the website, picking the logo, maybe even choosing the name, but you can get
Yes.
stuck there. And you can get stuck there for a really long time and get
Yeah.
stuck in that perfectionism of like, I can't have a business until I have the logo and the website
Mhm.
and the colors and I always say, like, get 80% there, and then you can figure out the other 20%,
Yep.
right? And
Absolutely.
because unless you're going to build a national brand, I don't think anybody's going to really worry or purchase from you because maybe you have the perfect shade of green. And
Right.
you can change it, and most
And
likely
you can
nobody.
change it.
Yeah,
Like the first round of signs I ordered, I was like, it should be darker, but next time I can order it darker and nobody's going to go, hey, she changed the color on those signs. There's something wrong here. So
yeah,
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 you figure it out as you go.
exactly, exactly.
Alex did my.
Yeah. And we didn't even plan this, but we're both wearing green. So
Yeah,
when I hopped on the call, so we forgot to tell you.
Yeah, they did. And she knows green's my favorite color because that's the color I picked
Oh,
for.
yeah. So I love that. Thanks. That is such great advice, though, to start earlier,
yeah.
get rid of perfectionism.
Yes.
I think a lot of us, again, we stay stuck there. We think it all has to look perfect, sound perfect before we can get started. When
I
it
mean,
comes, yeah,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, and we learned so much along the way because I'll tell you, those 900 course hours doesn't teach you anything about the business. Like, I would sit through these classes and I'm like, this is not teaching me anything that I'm actually going to use as a broker. It's the experience, it's getting into it. And that stuff will change. So, I mean, the branding in 5 years, you may decide to rebrand. You may not like it anymore. Having everything perfect right up front it's not reasonable. It doesn't make sense.
Absolutely. When I even got into coaching, like one of the best things that they did when we were in school was the first thing they did was make us go coach.
Yeah.
They didn't wait till the end of the training. They didn't say like go and get all of, the education first. They made us start
Yes.
coaching while we were getting our
Yeah.
training. So then by the end of our training,
Real
we
life
had
experience.
hours. Yeah. And so it was like we're like, what do you mean we had to, we have to go coach people. We don't have all the information. And they're like, it's fine. Like the amount of like work that we did with people, like the little change that we would help them with was more than they would get otherwise,
Yeah.
right? So it was still worth anybody's effort, and we can go get free clients, or we can have them pay just a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of didn't matter how we did it, but we had to go get hours,
Yeah.
because experience was way more better than any of the classroom hours that we were getting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and coaching was huge for me too. And like I said, within our industry, there's a lot of real estate coaches. That is a common thing. But some of the coaches that I tried, it wasn't right. So you have to find the right person for you. But it was very much like get out, knock on doors and do all of this and fine. But I needed someone who understood my life and situation. Like there was in 2020 during the pandemic, right after the shutdown, I was telling my new coach at that point how stressed I was. Kids working, they're doing school from home. I'm trying to keep everything together because real estate was going crazy. And she was like, well, just take the kids to your grand or to my in-laws. I was like, well, we have a pandemic going on. They're elderly, don't want to get them sick. She goes, well, just ask them. Kept pushing me. And I was like, well, no, I just told you that they're older. I don't want to expose them. If my kids have been sick, they've been in public school, we've been all over the place. And she's like, no, you just ask. I was like, well, if I ask, they're going to do it. But I'm telling you that I'm not comfortable with that. She's like, well, because you have to get out there and sell. I was like, we're done. Well, you're not listening to me. You're not respecting my boundaries, what I'm saying. And I'm a mom first. Like I have two kids here that I am trying to homeschool right now. And I needed someone who saw me as a person and not just a real estate agent. So I do have an amazing coach that I ended up finding. And it was tremendous. It has been so helpful. So I recommend coaching to anybody. So Love what you do, and I especially for you, Alex, with how you really dive in because well, you were on my podcast and we got to talk a lot too. But it's really digging down to the why, helping people to figure out the fears, the things that are holding them back, not just giving them a checklist of things to go do because I know the things to do.
Yeah,
I just
absolutely.
need someone to hold me accountable and figure out why I can't do them.
Absolutely. I always say finding the right coach is like dating. So you have to
Yes.
find that right person.
Yep. Absolutely.
Susan, have you ever had a coach?
Just when I was with another agency, we did a lot of meetings and stuff like that. I don't do meetings anymore, and I don't really do coaching anymore. But Alex is kind of my coach, and she doesn't
I
realize
was going to
it.
say, I got a great one here for you.
Like I said, I ask some questions, and she don't even know that I'm asking them for a reason. But one of these days, I'm gonna have to pay her, I'm sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's I've been in it for 8 years, two different states, and boy, were they night and
Oh, wow.
day. Like South Carolina, in 2 weeks, I had everything I needed for the next 2 years, and I only did 2 weeks of class. That was it.
Mm,
And they did not beat me up like they do in Texas. I mean, I
yes.
didn't change a code, and it was like, we're going to fine you $500 because you didn't change this code in 2 days. And I
Oh
said,
my gosh.
I've never been fined in my entire career. What are you talking about? And it was over a weekend. I mean,
Wow.
Texas is
It's,
brutal for real
it
estate
is.
compared to other states.
I've
You
heard,
don't
and
have to
I have
do
a
all
friend who,
this.
yeah, a friend of mine was licensed, she's licensed here, but had investment properties in South Carolina. So she actually went and got her, she was like, you wouldn't believe, she's like, I can get my broker's license by next week over there. So
Yeah, my
Texas is a
sister's
rough
in
one.
North Carolina, and you get your license and your broker's license at the same time she did. And I
Wow.
was like, that's crazy. That's one reason. It's like I might go back to South Carolina because my license is inactive there, and see if I can pick up a brokerage there. Because holy cow, this is
Right.
crazy here.
It is.
And
Susan, I want to
like I
say,
said, it's not even that. It's all the fines that they want to throw at you here. South Carolina pretty much let you do whatever you wanted.
I guess it's good and bad.
It is good and bad. Yeah. But I had a really good brokerage there, and
Yeah.
he kept an eye on everything. And I would go into the
Yeah.
office, and I would go to the meetings, and I would go to the training. But I do a lot of training here.
Yeah.
And but not as much coaching as training. But I'm like you.
Yeah.
I want to have a life. I want to do this, and I want to help people, but I want to do it on my terms. So I like that I can make my decisions on what I want to do.
Yeah. Because I don't care if, I beat out so and so for the most transactions this year. Like we actually took a 6 week vacation this year. We did a huge road trip and I
Wow.
did not work. I referred business out, and sure, it meant that I didn't have those extra few sales, and that wasn't important. This road trip with my kids, that was priority to me. And I'm glad that I'm in a place where I could do that. So that's what I said. You set up your business for what makes sense for you. So I have some friends who own a business and they want to work 24/7 and they want to live at the office, and that's fine for them. It's just good for you, not for me.
yeah. Yeah, it all
Yeah, I
depends on
took
your
24. I took 6 weeks off, and I walked 500 miles across Spain. That's what I wanted to
Oh my
do. I
gosh.
wasn't worried about, how many houses I'd sell. That was important. And I did it with my daughter, which I had done it 10 years
Oh,
before. So that was more important to me. So family is definitely top priority.
yeah.
But it's not like that for every realtor, and that's fine. If that works for them, it just didn't
Yeah.
work for me.
Yeah. I have a friend who she owns a bakery and bar, and so bakery starts really early in the morning and the bar goes late at night, and that's fine for her. She's like, I have one day off and I sleep, and she doesn't have kids, and like I said, the bakery and bar are her babies, so that's where she wants to spend her life, and so it's great if that's what you want, but it's you build it. That's the point of owning your own business, is that you can build it the way you want, so you can have the life you want.
absolutely. I think that's key too is building it how you want and not getting into that trap of how it's expected of you
Mm-hmm.
and how the world wants you to do it or anybody else.
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur is getting to do that if you can do it right.
I guess that's another piece of advice is ignore the others. Ignore people who, well, whether they are the haters who put you down or tell you can't do it, but others who are doing it differently. Like, don't compare. I barely get on social media because I don't want to see all the posts about other agents and what they've achieved. Like, it's not good for me. So I'm going to do my thing, and it doesn't matter where everyone else is.
Yeah, there's absolutely a ton of noise out there, right? I don't know about you,
Mm-hmm.
but like even just being a coach, like because I post on social media, and so obviously a lot of the ads and the
Yes.
reels that come up are for coaches, and it'll come up like one-on-one coaching is dead, and this is how you should, and I'm just going like or you should make a book. And it's like all this noise comes in, and you're just like, whoa, like
Yeah.
it's so hard to be like, am I doing it wrong? Am I doing it right? And you just have to stay
Mm-hmm.
in your values. Like this is how I'm trying to build my business, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I do a lot of networking, and even things will come up and say networking is dead, creating community is dead. That's not how you build a business anymore. I'm going like, whoa, like I'm doing really well
Yeah.
creating my business this way. So but that noise can kind of come in and bring in that self-doubt on how you're building a business. So I can imagine if you're a realtor, if you're online, you're probably seeing all
Yes.
this advice on like, do it this way, don't do it this way. Uh, I bet
Well, and
you.
I had a broker at one point who he sat down and talked to me about like, here's how you build out. This is the way, the one way to do it. You build out the team this way, and this is how you structure things, and this is the policies you should have in place. And like, we have the manual. Here you go. And I was like, but so and so, another friend of mine who's in the brokerage was like, she's doing it this way, and she's amazing and successful. He goes, I'm still trying to fix her. I was like, but I just said she's amazing and successful. He goes, we know the one right way. It's like, who says there is one right way?
That's
We
right.
can have it our own way and do our own thing. But yeah, it was like, this is the only system that will actually work. And I was like, I think I'm done here.
Yeah. It is. It's
Yeah, and
hard to.
I find that interesting because my background's IT. I should be doing all this on social media, but I've never had
Yeah.
to. And it's like I feel like I got to compete with people when that's not my style. My style is one on
Yeah.
one. You talk to me and we'll have a conversation and we'll be
Yeah.
working together. I'm not a big fan of, the social media because a lot of those people are the ones that do want to live and breathe the real estate. I'm more into quality than quantity. I don't have to sell 500 houses. And I have watched, some of the people that say I've sold 1,000 houses. Well, that's great. I'm happy for you, but I want a life, but
Yes.
I want to be good at what I do. And when you get too much going on, things fall through the crack. My last job
Yeah.
before this, I was a project manager. I had 35 projects. You can't manage 35 projects at one time and be successful. And I kept complaining, saying, you've got to take some of this off of me. I want to be the best, but you're making it hard for me. And they
Yeah.
didn't take me seriously. And that's why I left. They're like, you can
Yeah.
do it. You're doing a great job. I was doing a great job, but I didn't want to do a great job because it was too many hours.
Yeah.
People will use
Mm,
you up if you let them.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, you and I are a lot alike in how we run our businesses too, it sounds like, because my business is all referral. It's all word of mouth. Like I don't buy leads or ads and any of that. Like it is literally a referral business, but I like it that way because it's so personal. We're so involved in people's lives. I'm understanding all their finances. I'm in their house, touching all their things. Like it becomes very personal. So I prefer it that way. I like the relationships.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Mine's a people to people thing. I'm trying to get into the social media a little bit, but I just feel like it's a personal thing for people. So why not make it personal? You know?
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
had an agent. He was a younger guy and he's so sweet. so smart, but he was new to this business and he's young without a wife and kids. And he asked me one day, he's like, he was shadowing me as a new agent. And he was like, why does everybody get so emotional? And it's like, this is huge. Like, he's like, why are they crying? I'm like, you have happy, I mean, it could be marriage and babies causing you to move. It can be divorce and death. It can, all these things, but you're making a huge investment, but it's not just investment. This is your home, and this is where their babies took their first steps, all the things. I was like, this is emotional and it's stressful. It's one of the most stressful things people do, moving.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, I live in a 1-bedroom apartment with like 4 pieces of furniture. He's like, this is nothing. I don't know what they're complaining about. So he didn't have an understanding yet, had not had that life experience yet to understand. So it does need to be personal because it is such a huge deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's perspective too.
Yeah, and I saw one guy online saying, well, you shouldn't work with a realtor if they don't own a house. And I was like, so how do they get started to build something if, I was like, that is insane. That doesn't mean that they're not good realtors just because they don't
Yeah.
own a house. I said, I moved to Texas. I couldn't buy a house right away because I didn't know where I wanted to live. So you're saying just
Right.
because I lived in a townhouse for a couple years till I figured out where I wanted to go made me a bad realtor? I'm like,
You're a bad agent.
he was very young too, so it might have been that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where you have to tune out all the noise.
Yeah. Right. That is
all
a
the
big
added
thing in our industry. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jessica, I have a question.
Yeah.
And you can make this maybe geared towards people who are thinking about leaving maybe a corporate job for becoming a realtor or just in general.
Okay.
I'll let you guide the question. But if you could give a piece of advice for somebody who's thinking of leaving a corporate job and jumping in to maybe even realty or just going into entrepreneurship from what you have learned so far in your journey,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Do it. Don't keep waiting. Finding a mentor, find someone that you can really trust that has similar values, like I was talking about, because that way you have someone who can help you. If it is like, say, real estate, finding a broker or an agent, someone who you really like and trust, and you see how, not just how they run their business, but their whole life. Like, if you're like, this is how I want my life to live, ask for mentorship and help, advice, take them to coffee. But that way you have someone to bounce ideas off of, especially if they are in the industry you're looking to get into. But don't be afraid and take the plunge. That would be my advice. Yeah. Don't keep waiting.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Is there anything that we have not asked you? Anything that you want to share about your journey that has not come up yet?
Gosh, I feel like I've talked a lot. I feel like we've covered it all. Books.
Your podcast.
I would advise read books. Oh yeah, and I can talk about my podcast. But yeah, books. If you are, that's another piece of advice real quick though, is to read books. Bring in as much positivity and information. Like I said, there's so much noise out there, so try to tune that stuff out. But the more you can fill yourself with knowledge and motivation from positive sources. So I am a big reader, so I love to.
Do you have any books you recommend that you can think of?
Well, I guess it depends on exactly what you're doing and what you're looking for. I like some customer service books like Raving Fans, or is it not Storybook? Story Brand, I think is the. So I like those as far as like customer service. I don't know if you've read Raving Fans. It's kind of a silly one. It's a silly story, but I liked it. I'm trying to think. Oh, was it Mel Robbins? I like her books.
Yeah.
Atomic Habit is a good one.
I'm reading that right now.
I'm sure you've read that, Alex, right?
Yeah.
Because it's right along with what you say, like taking one step. And it's a little thing, but building those habits. So I love that one.
Yeah.
But it is funny how different, like, you find the ones that are right for you. I read Lean In and Lean Out back to back. Have you read either of those?
I've read Lean In, and I was a big fan of hers.
So Lean In is Sheryl Sandberg.
Sheryl Sandberg. She was.
Yeah. So she wrote. This one is
Facebook. She was a big wig at Facebook, and her husband died on their vacation.
Yeah.
And I didn't read the second one. How's the second one?
The second, so it's a different author, and I can't remember her name, but it is kind of the opposing side of it. It's the opposite side. Lean in is very corporate heavy, and it's how you compete in the corporate world, how you build the or climb the ladder. It's about women competing with men in the corporate world. Where lean out kind of goes the opposite way. It expresses what's wrong with corporate America and the things that aren't working. So I read Lean In, and some of it I was like, not quite for me. I mean, there's some great content in there. She talks about imposter syndrome and woman in a man's world. So there was a lot of great stuff, but Lean Out, I was like, oh no, okay, this one's more my cup of tea. So that's what I'm saying, finding the right books that fit what you're looking for. So
Thanks for telling me that because I hadn't read the second one, but I knew it was out.
yeah,
I knew it was there.
yeah,
But I just, it was just so heartbreaking how she had to change her whole life because of
yeah,
a freak accident, basically. And
yeah,
so I didn't really know her before I read the book, but I thought, she
yeah,
did have some key women
yeah.
thoughts there.
Being a woman in corporate America in the tech industry, so she was one of very few women.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the lean out, or sorry, lean in was the Sheryl Sandberg book, and it does focus more on corporate America because she was building her way up the ladder, CEO type, goals. That's what I'm saying. It was different for me. I did like some of the things she talked about. She talks about imposter syndrome. She talks about it's very women empowered, but it is how to compete and how to be in that position, which corporate America was not for me. So lean out is talking more about what's wrong with corporate America. So is here's why corporate America doesn't fit with women. Instead of women fitting into corporate should be changing to fit women. We have our own things that make us great. We are more empathetic. We are more nurturing. So, and these things aren't bad things. We shouldn't be trying to hide them because we're women in a man's world. There are things that are positive about that and what we can bring to the table. So it was interesting. I happened to read them back to back. So I got to see both sides, side by side. It was interesting. There's so many different things out there. So it depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah, I love that. I was going to say, if you love Atomic Habits, I always like to pair that one up with How to Change by Katie Milkman.
Okay.
So
I don't know if I've read that one. I'll have to make a note of that one.
It's a really good one. I always like to find women authors too. So, and I love Atomic Habits. I think that's a great place to start if you're looking for changes in habits. And then the How to Change, she gives real strategic kind of like how to create real change.
Okay.
I think Atomic Habits gives you that mindset of like that you need to make the change and how to
Right.
habits are important and the importance of them. But then she gives you like some real like great tools on like how to create that change. And some really interesting ones that make you go like, okay, like how to pair up habits, like when to set them into your schedule, and things like that. So I really love How to Change by
That's
Katie.
great. Yeah, I'll check it out because there's my friend and I, we were talking the other day, my co-host for our podcast, but we were like, well, we both want to meditate, but for some reason we're not doing it. But where do we do it and how do we do it? Like, it's just not part of the routine. So maybe that'll help me. Maybe I can start meditating.
Talks about how to set it in your routine and where to place it. And like one of my favorite things she talks about is like there's even apps are like putting like a bet against yourself where like if it's like a big goal that you have, it cracks me up every time. So like let's say you want to go, I'm a big runner, right? So let's say my goal is to run a marathon, and if I don't accomplish that goal, then I'm going to donate money to something I hate. Like, maybe it's a political party that's my opposite. I'm going to have to donate it there. So it's like doing something that's like intrinsically opposite.
Yes, I've heard that tactic before.
Yeah. So she has a lot of tactics on how to actually create that change.
That's awesome. I'll have to check it out. Maybe it'll help me start meditating.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gives you a lot of ideas, so you understand what he's saying, but he doesn't really tell you how to do it. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to have to pick up that book. I mean, I liked Atomic Habits, and I liked how he explained them. I liked how he explained them, and it made sense to me. But I didn't and I'm not through it yet. Maybe he does, but it seems like he kind of gives you ideas of what he's talking about, and it makes sense then. But I didn't really feel like he was given too much direction on, like you're saying this
Yeah.
woman does, and that's why you
Yeah, I
paired
feel
them.
like this is more the mindset behind habits
Yeah,
is
that's
where
what you
the
said.
mindset
Mindset.
comes
Yeah,
from.
yeah.
So talk to us about your podcast. We haven't gotten to
Yes.
that yet. So tell us a little bit more about that.
So I have a passion for educating. I'm always trying to teach my clients, whether it's taking care of their home or options that they have that they haven't thought of. So I'm big on educating. So that's where it kind of started. Didn't like how social media platforms, everything was limited. It's a 30-second, like, I can't explain how to set up your trust and wills and do that with a 30. So I started this with my favorite lender, mortgage lender, Shelly. And so we started it almost 2 years ago now. And yeah, it's been going good. We talk about all things related to home. It's called Nestology. So we're a lot of like home maintenance or home buying, but it gets into all the other things. Like, I see first time home buyers buy a house and they don't have a will, like I was saying, a will or trust or anything set up. They've got little ones. How to do all of that. Estate planning for, seniors who are starting that process, downsizing. There's just so many different things that connect to home ownership. So it's not just buy the home. So that's the stuff that we talk about on there.
That sounds so cool. So everyone check out Nestology. And
Thank you.
What platforms is it on?
We are on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.
And how many episodes deep are y'all?
60 something. I think you were episode 62 or 63, had you on. So thank you. That was so much fun.
Yes, I enjoyed it. Congratulations. That's amazing. Having
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to
it's
go
fun
back.
'cause-
I only got to do a few of them, but I definitely am going to go back. I think you're doing a fantastic job doing that.
Thank you. Yes, so often, especially like I said, the first time home buyers, but I saw it with everyone where, they would buy a house and then when they would come to time to sell it, I would go around the house talking to them and asking them the last time they had like the AC service. And they're like, you're supposed to do what now? And it's funny though, because as we've gone through these episodes, I see it. I'm in the houses, I'm doing the inspections and everything with clients. But Shelly on the mortgage side, she's just doing the loans and the numbers. So she's not saying the same things I do. So every episode, she's like, oh, wait, what? I'm supposed to do what? Show me how to do this. So after we've finished recording, we're running off and I'm showing her how to clean the lint trap thing on her washing machine and drain that. And I'm showing her, I'm checking out cracks in her sidewalk to make sure that they're not serious. So she's like, I learn something new every week.
I just heard that I have to clean the tankless water heater. I'm like, what? Is that true?
Yes. Yeah. And the tank ones, you got to drain those. And I've seen what happens personally. If you do not, I've missed a year and in Denton, we have such bad calcium buildup from water that the elements get so corroded. So I've missed a year doing that. And I can tell you it sucks.
I didn't know the tankless ones, you still had to do that too. And I was like,
mine's tank. So I haven't had to do it myself, but yes, I've heard that you're supposed to clean those as well.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, every year.
I was like,
they're in every year.
Yeah.
Because I have the tankless too.
Yeah. So all those things people don't know.
I love that.
Don't have the parents to show them and teach them, whatever it is, but it's a lot to take care of a home, and it's one of your most expensive purchases, so you want to take care of it. You don't want to let it go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jessica, that is that feels to me like you're mothering and educating and grandparenting everybody.
Yes.
Everyone who just went and bought a home and okay, I'm done, right?
Yep. And one of my clients, when she's like, I didn't know I was supposed to do that, I was like, you get my newsletter all the time and you should know better. So I was like, now you have to listen to the podcast and you have to go through the episodes and learn how to take care of your house.
Yeah.
I don't want to come back to sell this in a few years and find out that everything's falling apart. So
That's right. Well, Jessica, give us an update. How, where are you with your realty business? How's the brokerage going? How can we find you? How can people connect with you?
I will give you links so they can for my website and social media. But my business is Sage and Stone Realty Group, and I'm here in Denton. The brokerage is going great, so we are doing well and just getting all the systems and everything in place. So I'm really excited to kick off this new year with a new brokerage.
Yeah, we'll definitely include all the links. So if anybody's looking to connect with Jessica, definitely look in the show notes below.
Yes. And they'll have the link for Nestology in there too. I think I sent
Yeah,
that to you as
absolutely.
well. Perfect.
Absolutely, that will be there too. Well, Jessica, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
on today. It was so much fun. I think we could continue talking probably for another hour.
Yes.
We might have to have lunch
I
sometime.
was going to say, yeah, we'll go get lunch or something.
I was going to say the
Yeah,
same
so
thing.
thank you
I
for being
definitely
on.
want to talk to you after this.
Sounds good. Well, we'll connect. We'll go out.
All right, everyone, have a great day, and thank you
Thank you.
for being on Breaking Up with Corporate.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.